This year I did a video series with one of our high tunnel customers, Emily Pek of Frayed Farm. I met with Emily at the very beginning of the 2022 growing season back in March, and now, being that it's December and we're about to start the new growing season of 2023, it seemed like the perfect time to publish my final video with Emily Pek of Frayed Farm. For this video, I went back out to Emily's farm at the end of October, right after she completed her final CSA share, so that we could get details on whether the CSA was a success, whether she did any flowers for weddings this year, and also to see if the cut flower collaborative that she was working on developing had ended up being a positive for the farm, or whether it was a difficult point for her. Now, if you missed any of the previous videos, don't worry. I'll link to the entire video series in the description below. And again, this is the final conversation with Emily Pek of Frayed Farm and the conclusion of this video series. So let's get into that final conversation right now. I met with you in March when you were getting into the season.
Many moons ago.
Yes, a long time ago.
Yeah.
And now it's October. And I am a CSA member of Emily's. And we just received our last share on Saturday, and so you're winding down for the season. We just posted a video from the March interview series where you were kind of reflecting on some of your challenges of the farm and of farming, and I thought it was specifically poignant to come back here and touch base with you to see how the 2022 season went. Did you get as many CSA shares as you thought you'd get? Just generally, how did the 2022 season go?
Whew, deep breath. Honestly, it was like probably my best year yet as far as like staying on track of kind of like where I wanted to be throughout the year and just feeling like least amount of disasters happening kind of, or like things throwing me off course. I feel like in years past there's always been some kind of major thing that's like pulling my focus as far as like pest pressure or weather or marketing or whatever, and this year I felt like I just like hit a stride where like a lot of the systems I had built like finally like came to fruition and like were able to work really smoothly because I really tried intentionally not to add a whole lot more on this year and do like a whole lot of growth. So yeah, I just feel like I've been growing a lot the last few years, and this year I was really just trying to like stay steady and focus on systems that I already knew and like grow that within that. I think I can't speak to like, will this be the best year kind of financially quite yet until the end of the year when I've done some like winter production and things like that, but I definitely think it will be based on where I'm at right now. So that's exciting, but that's not always like how I'm measuring success. And then as far as like specifically like looking back on some of the videos and some of the things we were talking about in March, I did kind of fall a little, I don't want to say fall short, but more that I had to adjust some expectations for the CSA. I think I really tried to have some ambitious goals, and there were some goals that I definitely met and others that I just kind of adjusted, but it ended up being for the best, honestly, because I think based on like, I think I realized as I was kind of getting everything ramped up for the season that what my goals were going to be a lot more work than I had kind of projected or planned for, and that I didn't really have the systems in place to like execute that the way that I wanted to. The marketing was a little bit slower during that time, and it allowed me to like reassess, like, wait a minute, like you have an opportunity to like, you know, not take on all of this. And I decided like, yeah, with some of the subscriptions to not go do as many as I had originally kind of projected in the winter, because again, I always say this, but like everything looks great on paper in the winter, and then when you come to actually do it, you're like, what the heck, like why did I do this? And I think the amount that I did end up doing was like perfect amount. I kind of want to now stay at that and like cap it at that. So it was like, yeah, definitely a record amount of subscriptions that I've done, like over 100, so that feels like a good nice number that I now want to like just stay at. So
do you feel like knowing that like, okay, this is a comfortable amount that I feel like I can really hone in on, do you think you'll be able to develop systems that make doing that number even less stressful? What's making you pick that as a cap and not wanting to grow, I guess?
Yeah, I think I just like, again, feeling good about my decision to kind of focus on execution versus like scaling, honing the craft of like what I'm actually doing, the growing and the arranging and the executing of like the logistics. I think I hit like a threshold of amount of subscribers that made like the communications part of it exponentially more than it has been in previous years. So what I mean by that is like this year for some reason like there was something kind of going on every week where someone like was confused about where their okay was, or like just one thing after another.
Wow.
So I want to focus on getting that better before I add any more on. If I had continued on with like the goals that I had, it could have been a disaster.
So you would have found a way, I'm sure. But
yeah, probably.
I don't know what you got used for your, and this, we can cut this out if we want to.
No,
but I don't know what you use for your like email automation or anything at all.
Yeah.
Do you have like a Klaviyo or like Constant Contact or anything?
I have MailChimp, so yeah, but I don't know what those are, what you just said.
They're just
honestly,
like, you can set them up. So like basically you can say like, I want 20 emails sent, each one sent on these dates. And like, we use it for auto responding when people like abandon a cart or something. But like maybe it would exist and help if you were like able to basically set them up in advance, but they're just templates of the base things that you have to have, and then you could go in there and just add like the small things. Although I did love your emails.
Oh, thank you.
I thought they were very poetic and they were story-like. I kept thinking like, she spent a lot of time on this, it seems like, and I feel bad for her for spending that time on it. You know, it's hard to know how many people read them fully, but I have to think that people are invested in you and they want it. But just want to let you know that you know you're very good.
Thank you. No, that's really nice to hear. I mean, that is like, to me, a key component of what I do, and that's why I appreciate like doing things like this, because it's so much about the like story and what's going on behind the scenes as it is about like the actual product that I'm trying to sell. There's just so much else going on besides just the flowers.
Do you feel generally optimistic?
Oh, that's a deep question. Yeah, I think I am optimistic. I feel like something I was actually thinking about kind of today or this week was that I feel like I've had enough practice now, and like I'm like rounding out my 5th year here, and like probably seventh I think it is, of farming. So better part of a decade, I guess, farming, which is like crazy to think about. I haven't had enough practice like figuring it out. Like that's kind of my line, always like, oh, I'll figure it out, you know, and not knowing exactly how I'm gonna figure it out, but like I always do. And so I kind of feel like that gives me hope. You know, there's so much like uncertainty, and there's like so much that could still be thrown my way, and like please, that's not me telling the universe I need more things to be thrown my way, but I do feel like I've always figured it out, you know? So I'm like going into like another year, I'm kind of like, like I have that mentality, so I kind of feel more steady and like stable in that regard. So that gives me optimism.
It's a beeline back kind of away from the deep questions. I guess you know, I was reading one of your Instagram posts kind of celebrating the end of the season, and you mentioned like you squeezed in 2 weddings at the end of the season, and it sounds like you know, you're gonna do dried flowers in winter. Maybe talk about what that was like, squeezing in those 2 weddings on the tail end of the season when the frost was chasing you and that kind of stuff. Really intense. I honestly did feel like at moments that I was like reaching the impossible. like I don't know if I physically can do that. But like again, every time I somehow figure it out, and I just get like, there's only one way through it. You just get through it, you know. I think it's like always a reminder, and I'm really trying to write good notes this year to be like, don't ever do this again. Like, trying to do the weddings. This is my first year doing like DIY weddings full time, but one of the weddings I did last week was like before I had decided that. So what do you mean before you decided that?
Well, so I talked to this person like a year ago. I was like dabbling in the DIY but I kind of agreed to do a little bit more than for that specific one that I ended up deciding to do for the rest of the year, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
But ironically, it was the last one of the season, because that's just, they reached out for that date a year ago. So I was like around this time last year that they were like, hey, we're getting married next year. So I think I hadn't like yet kind of made my final decisions of how I was going to operate with weddings the following year. So I agreed to probably do a little bit more than I like really wanted to. But yeah, it happened to be the last one of the season, which I also didn't anticipate. I also hadn't planned for it to coincide with the last CSA week, but because I got COVID and pushed the week back, it just all kind of was this like perfect storm. Plus, like personally decided to move my home.
Oh, yeah, that's right, you moved.
And so that made it like 1 million times. Yeah, literally within these last 2 weeks, we like have been moving, and yeah, that was, I mean, it's just one of those things where it's like, it has to happen, like we just have to get through it, and like this isn't advised, you know, or like sane, but I'm just gonna go for it, you know?
Yeah.
And like just reevaluate for future years. Like now I know how much work that is, and even the DIY weddings this year, I'm so glad that I made that decision. But now I'm like making the decision for next year that I want to scale that back even more.
Okay.
But they went really well, and like I'm very happy with them, and I'm really happy with how the season ended. But again, like we didn't know there was going to be an early frost, so like in my mind too, I was like, oh, October 8th, that's fine. Like, you know, we'll have plenty of flowers. Usually I'm wishing I had something because we have so many flowers. And, you know, it won't be a problem for the CSA. That's when all the dahlias are blooming.
Yeah.
And then it's like, we get like on a, you know, early, like the earliest frost that I feel like I've ever experienced since being at this farm at least. So it's just like,
yeah,
you just have to like adapt.
Man. The Fresh Cut Flower Collaborative.
It's just like the cut flower.
Thank you.
And that's all. To make it easier on you. Yeah, the cut flower collab.
Okay. So
or just the collab for short is
collab.
really what we call ourselves. The collab. Yeah.
That sounds cooler.
Yeah.
So the Cut Flower Collab, aka the collab.
Yeah.
You had high hopes in March when we spoke last about how that can help supplement some of the CSA and wedding stuff you do. And then I came out here in the middle of the season just to check in and like get some B-roll, and I, you know, the cooler was full. How did that go this year, traction-wise, and I guess to date?
Yeah, it's really fun to like reflect on that, especially because I feel like that was what like grew the most this year, and I think it like far exceeded like our expectations. So awesome. Yeah, I'm very proud of it. When I say like I am, like it was very much a collaborative effort. So I'm the host for the pickup, but like it was really through the help of like kind of my co-collaborators, like other wonderful flower farmers that were super invested in like its success. So yeah, I don't know like exactly the numbers right now, but I know that pretty confidently like doubled or probably even tripled what we did last year, which was like very humble, but like it's still just see the growth to also just really be like a very well-oiled like system too. We communicated really well, we executed really well. There was also like a lot of stuff that came up that we just like worked through that we're going to continue to have to work through. Like, so it wasn't all like super smooth or perfect, but I think that again, like that's what I'm, you know, optimistic about, is that like there's a lot of things that need to be worked out that are very like tangibly can be worked out. And so some of the growing pains that we might have had, like I feel really excited to like continue to figure them out with everybody. But we like definitely attracted more people, but also just had like tremendous more amount of product to offer people, so that was really great. We had a really wonderful like event at the end of the season that we had a bunch of folks come out to at another farm that hosted, and that was really fun. And also there was a lot of like sticky situations this year where I did like need extra flowers for these last weddings because of the frost and things like that. Perfect. So to just like have that and know that that's always there was like, it's such a relief. Yeah, I'm really, really proud of it and excited to like see where we go.
You know, with the Flower Collab, that's great. It sounds like next year you're setting yourself up to possibly be even more organized and sell more. In looking at some of what you're going to be doing from now until spring, I did notice that you're going to be doing dried flowers.
Oh yeah.
Can you briefly just touch on like, this is the rough plan, this is how it works, this is what I have to do to, you know, I don't even know anything about dried flowers.
Yeah. Last year was like my first year really like selling dried flowers. I had like kind of dabbled in the past, and it was just because like I had stuff left over, and I basically what it consists of is like harvesting flowers that dry well, literally just hanging them in like a barn or an attic, and just there are specific flowers that like retain their color and like the integrity of like the stems, and they can make like really beautiful arrangements and like bouquets, and yeah, it's like kind of people market it as like an everlasting flower arrangement, especially during the holidays. It kind of has that aesthetic and
holiday stuff.
Yeah,
that's what I was thinking.
yeah. So I had like dabbled with that in the past. I'd made like little wreaths or ornaments for people before. Like I think my family was kind of, I don't know. They always say they love them, but I'm like, I don't know. How many little dried ornaments are you gonna get? But that was like my Christmas gift for like. For many years, and then last year I decided to like really go for it because I had such an extra like abundance of flowers at the end of the season to like be able to dry. A lot of it is like I like the creative aspect of it, but then as a business perspective, I'm definitely thinking like if there's still flowers in the field, I don't have like my CSA is over. I need to like figure out a way to get the value out of this, and it's like an added value, especially like a lot of the flowers, you know, I do pick at their prime throughout the year. Like I actually do pick like spring flowers and other things throughout the year that I like, but then some of the ones that are in the fall, it's like maybe they wouldn't have been pristine for cut flowers, but they look beautiful still for dried flowers. So it's like a way to really get the most out of like what you're growing. So yeah, what that looked like for me last year, and it's gonna look exactly the same for me this year. I'm just like again trying to stick to what I know, but I'm doing like 2 events where it's kind of be like an art show where I have like mixed bouquets of dried flowers and then like little ornaments, and all the ornament bases I weave willows as like the wreath portion of it. So I have like a ton of willows on the farm, and they make really, really nice like bases, and I have all different kind of colors, so they look cool too, like yellows and reds, and yeah, they're just like really pliable, so you can bend them into the wreaths, and then I put like arranged dried flowers onto them. I love that I get to partner with so many wonderful pickup locations, but I don't really like have a lot of one-on-one interaction with my customers besides the emails I'm getting about where are my bouquets.
Beautifully.
Yeah, exactly. But like, so I really like last year I really wanted an opportunity to like meet people and like get kind of some added value. So I usually give like a discount for CSA members too, but it's like open to anybody. But I'm gonna be doing that with room service, and then I'm gonna be doing like another art show in December with a friend. But yeah, so that's the plan for the winter.
Okay. You reminded me, this is a channel about high tunnel stuff.
Yeah.
So,
remember that? Yeah.
I mean, I guess.
Remember those things?
Do you, want to just talk for a moment about, you said some of your plans, but some of the plans for the high tunnel, I guess?
Yeah. I mean, that's another thing that I've started to dabble more into the last couple years because of the high tunnel, but like the high tunnel gives me like an opportunity to like grow things and start growing things now for next spring. But with the roll-up sides that I have now,
there you go.
It's like super exciting because I don't have to worry so much about controlling the airflow or the temp. But yeah, I've like started a bunch of seedlings and direct seeded stuff in the tunnel, should allow me to get flowers earlier next year. And like a lot of those are specifically for the collab, like I mentioned, trying to fill some of those gaps because not all the flower farmers like in our group have high tunnels. I mean, I think this year for sure, like I know earlier in the spring, like I was coming off of my first year of it, and having gone through it this year, I think it was like 10 times better than last year. So I really feel like I'm starting to get the hang of it, but I think it could be even better next year if I plan out a little bit better. And I think, again, hopefully this will be my best spring yet, because I'll have like, you know, I know now what kind of can survive the winter and what I need to do. Plus, with the roll-up sides, like, I think I'll be able to control the environment that will create like way healthier plants in the future. So I'm really excited about to see how that goes.
Do you have anything else you want to briefly say?
I don't know.
This is the end of our interview series.
Yeah.
This is it.
No, I've really enjoyed like the reflecting the last 5 years. As a mutual friend of ours, Andrea, mentioned to me recently, like 5 years is like a milestone for farmers, like sadly for young farmers that like don't make it past year 5. I think I'm just excited that I made it to year 5. Seems like
it's a win.
Yeah, I know it sounds sad probably to some people, like, oh wow, you know, that's not a whole lot of time, but again, in like the farming world, because there's such a high burnout rate, like I only want to continue to do this if like we're meant to continue to be mentally and like physically fit and not like burning ourselves out just for flowers.
100%. I totally get it.
Every time I'm like getting really stressed about something because I'm like afraid, you know, it's not going to go the way that I want, it's just like, it's okay. Like, this isn't life or death. Yes, my livelihood depends on it, but like if for some reason I had to leave the farm behind or this business, like I would figure it out, and that would make me incredibly sad, but like it's not worth like mentally destroying or physically destroying myself or anyone else. It's okay to say no, you know, and that's been like a really, really hard thing for me in my whole life. So I'm just like, I think it's a really good exercise and hopefully validating to people that are feeling like they have to do everything. Like, no, you don't. Like, take care of yourself, rest, like, you know, take care of your people.
Life
like
matters,
that's what's
really.
most important, and like you'll figure it out. So yeah.
Very cool. And not to bring this back to high tunnels, I'm not going to.
Yeah.
But what you said kind of reminded me, and it's been so long since I've looked at any like mission statement stuff from Tunnel Vision Hoops. But I want to say one of the original mission statements, maybe even still, it was, we want to provide season extension structures to farmers so that they can make more money and live less stressful, more enjoyable lives. I think I'm totally aligned with that, and I feel like my mission is to like just bring more joy into people's lives through flowers and like the stories that I hopefully have to tell. Like, having joy in your life is like a radical act, and we need to like accept that more into our lives and be okay with it, you know? So. Okay.
Yeah.
That's it. Thank you so much for meeting with me.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. And we're going to end with some beautiful B-roll of Emily's farm.
You can find Emily of Frayed Not Farm on Instagram at Frayed Not Farm or at her website, fraydnotfarm.com. If you found this video interesting at all, consider liking it and sharing it with a friend. And if you like videos on season extension and season extension structures, consider subscribing to our channel. Thanks for watching.